This video introduces some of the research performed by North Arrow Research to support process-based restoration. This was done in collaboration with Anna Branch Solutions and Joe Wheaton of Utah State University. And really, our main question is, how can we help stakeholders be more effective with PBR? And by those stakeholders, we mean restoration practitioners, funding bodies, landowners, but also interested citizens, people who just interested in PBR, as well as researchers trying to understand and quantify effectiveness. And really, we looked at a bunch of different activities, such as how people learn about PBR, they plan for it, design for it, how they hire experts and laborers, and then how they track their implementation and monitor their effectiveness over time. And then really just the social aspect of this, how they share their experiences. And we started out thinking about a whole bunch of different use cases and the concepts of some different apps. So starting out here on the left, we're thinking about citizen science and just how do we engage people and get them excited about LTPBR. And so you've got a little screenshot idea here of a kind of citizen science app. Just like I'm out walking in the field and I see evidence of beavers, for example. So it might be a beaver, it might be a dam, a BDA, a lodge, or a scent mound, etc., etc. And you can just capture basic information about this. It's geolocated, maybe you take some pictures, and then you contribute to that. And all the social things that come with that about people acknowledging those observations. And you could picture this being stored in a database where people could do analysis on this on the back end. The second screenshot is the idea of doing the BRAT CIS, so the inference system in the field. So we know that people and experts are running BRAT, but what if you just stood in the field, you're on a particular reach and you want to answer the questions of the BRAT CIS and get an answer. So here's a simple pick list-based form where you can pick the inputs, the 5 inputs, and you basically run the 2-step FIS to get a dam capacity estimate in the field. Another idea is just performing the census of existing beaver dam activities. So how you could do this in the field using an app, somewhat similar to the citizen science app. But there'd also be the idea of almost tracking the absence of beaver dam activity. So I'm walking down a reach and I haven't seen any dam activity. That's actually a valuable data point. And so we were picturing a mobile or desktop app for doing that kind of census information, which is ground truthing existing beaver activity. And the fourth idea was to support some of these quantitative models that are using national hydraulic data sets. Oftentimes those GIS data sets are not well aligned, or they have historical channel alignment, or in critical locations, the alignment is not fine-grained enough to support those models, or it's producing an erroneous result. So we're just picturing some very basic mobile apps where you can do interactive GIS editing in a mobile app to better or to improve the calculations of those models. So just tweaking the GIS alignment, essentially. And so we started thinking about all of these apps, and where we went to was trying to organize the information that we might capture about low-tech process-based restoration. And so here we're really focusing in on restoration practitioners and capturing the information that those folks would need as they did design and implementation in the field. And we went round and round a few times until we came up with a fairly simple structure with a couple of nuances that made it special. So in the outer concept here, we have the idea of entities. So we're going to track either people or organizations, and both those individuals and those organizations we consider to be entities. And those entities are going to have projects. And projects is a very overused term. This could represent just one location, or it could be a larger initiative that's across a region. But inside a project, there will be reaches, and reaches represent sections of a river channel that have uniform conditions. So the same geomorphic condition, roughly the same vegetation, and roughly the same kind of stream power as well. Notice here that we haven't really captured very much low-tech PBR information until we get down to the complex level. And a complex has two meanings here. We've kind of got the concept of a beaver dam complex, but really what we're talking about here is a complex of low-tech restoration structures being implemented in the field, and doing those in a location where we're trying to activate the processes. So the P in PBR, that is what we're considering to be a complex. And within a complex, we're going to put some structures into the field, and then we're going to monitor how the quantity of structure in the channel changes over time. So an example of this might be USU has a Bridge Creek project, and there's a complex at the Lower Owens where there's a particular structure, in this case BDA 14A. So I'm going to stop here and now demo a prototype of an app that we came up with to prove whether information like this could be captured in a mobile environment and how one might go about that. So I'm now looking at a prototype of a potential app. This isn't a fully functioning working app. It looks like there's an app here. It has a user interface and it is actually capturing some data, but that data doesn't go anywhere. It's not synchronized onto a server or anything like that. And really we're just trying to prove some of the user interface concepts rather than develop a functional app. And you'll see that there's a few broken links in here, and there's some not fully formed ideas. So in this mobile app, this is focused around capturing PBR field design and implementation. So I'm in my home screen, which is a feed. And so the idea here is I have my active project tile at the top here. And then further down, I have just this feed of activity things that have been performed on projects I'm related to. If I'm interested in just my activity, I can switch over here and I can see that I deleted a complex, deleted some structures, etc. I created a complex down here. So back on my feed, the first thing I can do is my active project, so the project I've been working on most recently is this Pahata River. I can come in and I come to the complex view. Now this is being organized by reach, so remember that data model I just showed you. Here we have the lower reach, the middle reach, and the upper reach. Those could have any names. And inside each one are some complexes. And again, we've got stock photography in here. These would be real pictures in a proper app. And you can see for each complex, it's telling me that I have a certain number of design structures. I've installed a few things, and I have some surveys. Surveys being a synonym for monitoring in this case. So at the project level, I can also undergo some planning. And again, the idea of project, this is meant to kind of mimic chapter 3 of the PBR manual. And so we have some goals, essentially some kind of the processes that we're trying to activate within this project. And then we have some tiles here just showing how we might mimic the geographic extent, quantifying the amount of channel, floodplain, or inaccessible. We've got a few different views here. This is valley width. I had reach length here. And so we're just experimenting with different ways that we can summarize information. And if you know chapter 3 in the manual, the topics continue. The next section is risks. And we can, build out these cards to capture the information for each of those sections. We also have the idea of photos. So we want photos to be a very quick way of capturing site level information. maybe even videos as well, before and after pictures. And we've been working pretty intensively on a separate photo monitoring app that we could potentially reuse and embed within this app to capture photos. And then we have some project level information, so its title, its objective, what hypothesis we have about what we're trying to change here, etc. So if I go back to the complex view, in this lower reach I have this complex one, and I'm going to click on it now to go to the complex details. And we have three concepts within a complex. We have the design, so what we think we're going to do. We have the install, so what things we've actually done or put on the landscape, and then photos capturing it. And so in the we can have multiple designs. There's only ever one active design, but we have multiple designs. In this case, we have a target number of structures. So how many calories do we want to put in the river? Well, we're going to put in roughly 6 structures we think will activate the processes in this complex. And our base flow is 5 units, whatever that might be. And here's our objective, which is some Latin, it's some lorem text. And then we have a functional narrative, what we're actually functionally trying to do here, what we're trying to kick off and get changed at this site. And then a description of the site itself. And then you can see up here on the map, and I can enlarge this map if I needed to, the potential locations we might put some of those structures together with an outline of the complex. And so if I switch over to the installation now, when I get to the installation view, you'll see these dots are the same kind of burnt orange as the installation. So these are actual things in the field. And what we've got here is one card for each structure group. Now, a structure group is a new concept we came up with when we were struggling with that some folks wanted to track the details of every single structure they were putting in. So they wanted to design every BDA, every PAL ad nauseum, and they wanted to capture the measurements of it, etc., how it interacted with the bed and everything. Whereas other folks just wanted high-level installation. So I'm just going to put 5 BDAs in here. I don't want to have to tell you all about them. And so the way we did that, and I'm going to click down here to add a new structure group, and I can either pick one that I've designed, or in this case, I'm going to pick a BDA, and I can say this, what I'm about to do here is going to represent 5 BDAs. And so this is just saving me time, that I don't need to go in and create 5 separate database records, but I can pick whether this is a transverse or streamwise BDA, etc. And once I've put in some high-level information, I can come in and I can put the geometry on the map here. So it starts out allowing me to put single point. And again, the geometry is optional. So if I don't know where I'm going to put this, that's fine. I could have saved this record as it is. So here's one point, and that may be representative of all 5 of these BDAs that I'm going to put in. If I want to be more explicit, I can put down one of these BDAs and then keep going until I've put down all 5 of them. Now, I could also put down a polyline, just a line of where I'm going to put them. So that might be useful if I'm going to draw the crest of a BDA. Or I can do a polygon, which is basically, look, all of the BDAs that I want to place are just going to be in this rough area. So again, the goal here is to maintain flexibility and capture as many different workflows as people want, either as detailed as they want to go or as loose as well. So we'll go there. And you'll notice I can add photos here too and do a before and after. And so now I've got my new BDA here. And you'll see it's shown up on the map as an orange polygon. One thing I should just point out here, back on design, is when I'm designing structures and I go to add a new one, let's say this time I'm going to put a PAL in and I'm going to put down 10 PALs. I also get to put down uncertainty here too. So I'm going to do, let's say I want to put 10 PALs in plus or minus 2. I'm not totally sure. Once I get out in the field, I'm going to figure this out. And again, it's that kind of whole idea, just keep it loose. how many calories are you putting in the river? We're not trying to be a precise quantitative database. We're just trying to get your overall intentions here. So I'm going to call this group of pals. I'm going to click OK there. And so now I've got this group of pals. This time when I go over to installation and I say I want to add, I'm actually going to put something in the field. This time I can now implement from my design that particular group of pals. So that's a pretty brief overview of the PBR app. I'm skipping over lots of information here. This app is meant to work in an offline setting so that you can cache all of the information for your project on your device and go out into the field off data service and perform capture information. And then when you get back into cellular service, everything will sync online, and it will resolve if you've got lots of people in a crew who are capturing lots of information about the same complex, etc. They can all synchronize, and it will help resolve those conflicts and go together.